So, Alan Wilzig at Kutscher's, Tribeca, really awesome Jewish deli where I just had dinner, sitting on your Brammo Inertia. And you're one of the first people who bought a Brammo Inertia, correct?
One of the first people that bought it and as well bought into the concept of electric motorcycles in general, even though I own 125 ICE or internal combustion engine old school motorcycles. And one of the first to actually invest in Brammo that didn't have the last name Bramsher.
Exactly. Or Best Buy.
Or Best Buy.
Awesome. So
actually, I think I was ahead of Best Buy.
Awesome. This is great. So you're one of the early adopters for real.
Yeah, for real.
And so you come from a finance background, so you see businesses pretty often that you think, well, is this a good buy? Is this something that is really going to take off? And so what did you think when you saw Brammo?
You know, when I saw the whole concept, I wasn't 100% sure because, like everyone else who had seen Vectrix and others that were a little too heavy and they were scooters, not motorcycles. And even when I first looked at this, I was concerned that the belly pan might be a little too low for some of the curbs that I hop. And yet I was assured, no, it's been urban tested, and you'd be surprised because it turns orange again at the bottom instead of black. Visually, it makes you think that the bike is actually lower than it is.
Yeah.
If this lower piece was in black, you wouldn't see it anymore, and you wouldn't feel in the slightest that it was lower than a KTM super motard or a dirt bike.
Exactly.
And sure enough, I've jumped on and off a full 6-inch curb, you know, of a modern variety, not some old-fashioned cobblestone curb like this Tribeca neighborhood. Yeah. And I've never scraped the belly pan once.
Awesome.
Everything about it has been great, and the response that I've gotten from owning it is night and day in every sense from being a 10-year lower Manhattan motorcyclist with a conventional motorcycle, where if I wouldn't kill the motor, you know, 3 seconds earlier as I was backing it to the curb,
yeah,
I would have a cafe owner look at me like, thanks very much for blowing hot exhaust in the two ladies' face that are trying to finish their lunch or enjoy their tea. Like, what kind of, you know, insensitive idiot are you?
Exactly.
And I come with this,
yeah,
and the response is completely antithetical, 180-degree difference. They come over and go, is that electric? I think I saw that on the internet. Do you want to park it inside my cafe? Do you want to bring it in my boutique?
Yeah.
It literally could not be any different. That I sometimes scratch my head and think, I can't believe I'm still on a motorcycle that beats every taxi, you know, from every stoplight, and yet I'm embraced instead of treated like an ogre because I choose to cruise around the city on 2 wheels.
Totally. And you find that this has been like a really great urban warrior machine, like as good as any sort of motard or anything?
I've beaten the hell out of this thing. I'm
yeah,
down on a racetrack, and I ride motocross like an aggressive 46-year-old, not a 16-year-old, unfortunately. Time goes by.
Yeah.
But I ride hard on everything that I ride, and I've ridden this thing as hard as I've ridden any motorcycle. I wrote about it when I did a U-turn. I put a fleece balaclava on my head when it was 12 degrees one day, and forgot that does not a helmet make. And took off out of my garage, and when I was halfway down the block, realized, oh, you're warm, but you're also against the law and not protected, and flipped a quick U-turn.
Yeah.
And in doing so, didn't pay attention to the 10-square-foot patch of puddle that had frozen solid into a skating rink, and promptly dropped the bike with me under it on my left leg, and immediately realized, thank God I'm on a bike that weighs 220 pounds, not 420 pounds, because this could have been ugly.
Exactly.
And instead it was a joke.
Yeah.
I wasn't on a pile of leaves, I was on cobblestones, but I was also dressed for the winter.
Exactly.
So I got up, no fuss, no fuss. I didn't even bend a footpad.
Nice.
So you can't ask for more of a Samsonite gorilla urban test than throwing it down on cobblestones in the winter.
Exactly. Okay, so one last question, then we'll get out of the icy tundra that is New York. So Brammo's doing a lot of great things for growth, and they're really, you know, partnering with great people in manufacturing and with sales. Yeah, the Polaris thing.
All sorts of help and service. And
where are they selling them in New York? Because in LA, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird.
Sure, and it's been kind of weird all over, and part of that weirdness was the appropriate exclusivity to Best Buy to give them the opportunity, but they realized the laws in different states to protect automobile dealers. If you're not exclusively a motor vehicle dealer, you're not allowed to sell automobiles or motorcycles, so you can't get a DMV computer, which means you can't be a dealership. So they learned, unfortunately, the hard way, but we had to give them that license, so to speak, because they were among our first supporters and in a very meaningful way.
Yeah.
But that said, now we're on to the next generation. What Polaris brings to the table with the recent announcement is they have 42 people that are just responsible for dealer development. Brammo has one that was hired 6 months ago.
Exactly.
So who do you think is going to rectify over the course of the next 6 months proper distribution? Our friends at Polaris.
Awesome.
So look forward to that. It'll be much easier to purchase a Brammo. And the service, I joked yesterday, my horn went out. and so I was going to have my own mechanic from my farm or my race shop and where my track is come down and do it, but I thought that's sort of a 100-mile pain in the ass. Let me see what the friends in Oregon say.
Yeah.
And they say, well, it just so happens we had sent somebody up the East Coast doing a few different service things, and I said, this is like a joke. I think if you buy like a Bugatti Veyron, a Maybach, or a Brammo, you're the only 3 buyers in the world that get a personal tech that comes to your house and fixes your horn for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
So now I'm back in the horn business, which is very important when you ride in Manhattan.
Yeah, you absolutely need that. I remember that.
Crazy taxis.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We'll go back inside where it's not so cold.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.